Manhattan Project, information was exchanged with different people in the collaboration. They explored the processes of fission, and the Allies encountered the Axis powers. In August 1939, Albert Einstein wrote a letter with the help of his friend Hungarian physicist Leo Szilard to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt to warn him that the Nazi Germans were starting to research a new, powerful form of energy that could cause mass destruction. In the letter, Einstein exchanged information with Roosevelt about nuclear fission and told him to do research on it to be safe since the Nazis were doing research of their own. Roosevelt took the warning from the letter under consideration. In October 1939, Roosevelt wrote a letter back to Einstein stating that he had started a team with the Army and Navy to start research, fearing that the Nazis would find out about fission before they did. Multiple teams of scientists explored ways to produce fission. Conducting research on fission was the team of Italian physicist Enrico Fermi.
Uh, Enrico Fermi was there. He gave many of the lectures that we heard. I think it was every Wednesday evening that we came back to the laboratory to hear the lectures, information, whatever, that he had to give about the project.
The team conducted their research and attempted to produce fission. They tested 4 different methods before accomplishing their goal. The 4 methods tested were the electromagnetic method, gaseous diffusion, centrifuge, and liquid thermal diffusion. All of these methods required the use of uranium-235 and 238. The team bombarded 63 stable elements and produced 37 new radioactive elements. The team was eventually successful in producing fission, but unaware that they had done so. Fermi's team eventually won a Nobel Prize in Physics, and Fermi started working at Columbia University in Manhattan, New York. On May 4, 1942, Franklin D. Roosevelt officially started the Los Alamos Project, later to be known as the Manhattan Project. The head of the project was J. Robert Oppenheimer. Roosevelt did not know where the United States would get funding for such a big project since the country was bankrupt and still recovering from the Great Depression, which had happened 3 years earlier. Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of England at the time, and since Britain was fighting for their lives every night due to the Nazis, they reluctantly made the United States the head of the project. The Manhattan Project consisted of over 120,000 employees across the globe and tested in several places in the United States. Research and development for the project took place at several universities, including Columbia University, the University of Chicago, and the University of California at Berkeley. Several other facilities were built, including ones in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and Hanford, Washington.
Oak Ridge, we were there only a few days, well, perhaps a week, and there we got a hint of what we're going to, some place where there was a special bomb being made. You know, we're not supposed to have known that, but somehow or another, word gets around among the privates.
The main nuclear plant they used was located in Los Alamos, New Mexico. The United States put over $2 billion in funding in the project. That would be the equivalent of about $35 billion today. There were several complications during the project, including encounters with Soviet Germany spies. Still continued to do research on fission, and the Union was still trying to beat them to it. Einstein was also not permitted to work on the project, even though he is the one who caused it to begin. Einstein was denied security access for the project, and no one was permitted to say or discuss anything about it to him. He had no idea how the research or development was going. It was also his famous formula, E equals mc squared, that explains how the energy acted in a nuclear weapon. During the research, there was a book that came out about a distant future where they made a nuclear bomb using uranium-235 and 238. The government thought it might have been a spy who released the book to the public. They took a risk by not taking the books off the shelves, and the enemies did not find out anything. On April 12th, 1945, Franklin Delano Roosevelt died in Georgia during his fourth presidential term. His vice president, Harry S. Truman, then became the 33rd President of the United States. Truman only found out about the Manhattan Project when he became president because Roosevelt and Winston Churchill kept the project so secretive. On August 6th, 1945, the first nuclear bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, Japan. 3 days later, on August 9th, 1945, a second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, Japan.
All of a sudden, bam! I saw the bones on my fingers as though I was looking at X-ray. So intense.
My voice, but doesn't look like me because my face and hair was like a big black football all around. And where's the nose? Where's the eyes? Couldn't tell, all black. It was red ocean, fire burning, whole entire city is burning.
Major General Leslie R. Groves was a key figure in choosing the locations in Japan to bomb. The bombs were then dropped out of plane Enola Gay that was piloted by Paul Tibbett. World War II officially ended on September 2nd, 1945, after the Japanese delegation signed the Instrument of Surrender.
It's terrible to me that with all of the resources and all of the brilliant minds that exist in the world, not just in the United States, that we can have so much tension and be on the verge of wars. And this situation will continue for at least a century.
And hence the dawn of the nuclear age.
GI Blues, GI News, GI Shorts and GI Shoes. Sit around, getting fat. How we gonna win a war like that?